Hello everyone, welcome to sneak peek number 2 of Frag Volume 2. My name is Flag, and this is the sneak peek for Payload. Payload is the newest game mode added to Frag in Volume 2. It'll be available to play at any time simply by tapping on game modes in your main menu. If you tap on the descriptive question mark on its top right, it says, stop your opponent payload from advancing and protect your own. The first one to reach the final destination wins the battle. Now, what's a payload and how is this mode played? As an object, a payload is basically a bunker on wheels like a wagon or machine that automatically moves on a rail to get to the end of the track. As a game mode, there are 4 main rules you have to know to play this mode. 1. Each team has a payload which automatically moves in its own separate path. 2. Each payload has a target on its rear side that can take damage and be destroyed, just like bunkers and towers in other modes. 3. Each payload has 4 modes or states that it can be on, which I'll talk about in a second. And the 4th rule, whichever payload gets to the final base first before the 4-minute time runs out, wins. Now back to those payload states. If you see this tip in the game, this is correct but incomplete. Each payload can have one of these 4 states at any given time. 1. Normal state, indicated with a play symbol. 2. Boosted state, indicated with a fast forward symbol. 3. Slowed down state, indicated with 2 downwards arrows. And 4. Temporarily broken down or stopped state, indicated with a pause button. Your payload starts the match moving at its normal speed. In this state, it roughly takes a payload 2 minutes and 50 seconds to get to the final base. If you look closely, you realize there is a circle around each payload on the ground. If any one of friendly troops walk inside this area, your payload will become boosted. This makes your payload travel at a faster speed and get to the final base sooner. If an enemy troops walks within this area, the payload will get slowed down until the enemy is killed or leaves the circle again. If you start shooting the target on the enemy payload and deal enough damage to completely destroy it, the enemy payload breaks down and stops in its tracks. This is only temporarily though, and it takes the payload around 10 seconds to automatically repair itself completely and start moving again. You can see what state each of the 2 payloads is in by looking at the blue and red circles on the 2 bars at the top of the screen. The numbers on the side show how much HP each payload has left, and the bars in the middle indicate how far each payload has traveled in its path, which you can also see in the minimap at top left. The timer below the bars show how much of the 4 minutes is remaining. If the time runs out before either payload gets to the final base, the payload that is further ahead and closer to the finish line wins. This rarely if ever happens and requires 2 all tactics to get matched up and completely ignore each other's attacks for the whole match. If both payloads get to the final base at the same time, surprisingly, both players are announced as winners. This might be a bug and get fixed in future updates. The troops that want to affect the payload's speed have to stand on the same ground as the payload. Flying over it with cars like Crystal, Jet, Laika, and Archon does not affect payloads. The speed of a boost or slow down effect is independent of the number of proponent or opponent units. That means whether you have 1 card or 5 cards guarding your payload, its speed is gonna be the same, and same with offense. The spawns of active spawners like Butt Mama and Scout and Nutty play the same role as a troop, meaning they speed up friendly payload and slow down the enemies. Passive spawners don't. Although General Mech is an active spawner, surprisingly his drone does not affect the payloads, probably because it flies over the payload. If you still don't know what active and passive spawners are, check out my Cypher tips, tricks and mechs video. There's a neutral zone around the tunnels. You have to stand beyond the front end of the tunnel to give it a boost or speed drop. Walking past this wall makes a difference. Just like regular bunkers, Scrapper can partly repair the payload. However, when the bunker is inside a tunnel, her super is blocked. Here's a lightning round of a couple of more payload tips. Now about the map, as you can tell, this is a very open map, so inherently cards with a decent range have the upper hand over the others. Here's the overall view of this well-designed map. These are the 2 spawn bases, and these are where the payloads start their route from. There are 8 health packs around the map. 4 medium-sized ones and 4 small ones. There's a bug in the test build which allows you to pick up infinite number of health packs from this specific place, but the dev team has already been informed and this is either patched up by the time you see it or will be very soon. There's also a payload challenge called Payload Clash, which I'll talk about more in my 4th sneak peek video, which discusses every remaining feature that comes with Volume 2, which I don't discuss in the other 3 sneak peek videos. About some special cards mechanics and which cards and archetypes are good or bad in Payload. Do not use Shinobi in this mode. After he uses his super, when he has to go back to his base, he goes all the way back inside the spawn building, which rules him out of the course of the match until he gets out of there. But Cybergirl uses her super to teleport back to the payload, not the spawn building. Similar to how Medusa's beam pierces through one layer of wall, you can shoot from payload's front side through the other side of the payload target. She becomes even better considering how well she performs against the newest legendary card, Archon. But Mama is really good in Payload. Her bots provide a lot of distraction for opponents' attack, while they also boost up your payload, especially if she has her Frag power little brother activated, which gives an extra bot spawn. Solartron is quite good because there's barely any roof to hide under from his super. Duncan is a superstar in Payload. His stats check all boxes for a good card in this mode. The recently buffed Mimi is great at blocking open areas with her super, especially if the opponent doesn't have flying units like Crystal or Archon. Just like how he always delivers, Ripin Finn's super allows him to wipe out huge pushes if used at the right place and right time. Even more annoying than Batmama's bots are Sombrero Spectres. Using Sombrero along with high DPS cards makes him a must in Payload. Although this map is very open, counterintuitively, tanks still do well in this mode. They work as a great source of distraction while you can use your support cards to attack and take down enemy defense units and break their payload down. Namely, Hannibal is super good in Payload. Not only does he tank and distract, he can also get good kills. Also, if you're running Ronin in your deck, to get the best out of him, focus on using him to kill the opponent cards and not rush to get to their payload. However, if your opponent is running a 3-layered hard-hitting defense line, you will run into problems breaking through with your tank cards. Overall, camp cards like Sogeki-chan and Solartron can do well in this mode, but you gotta guard them well with a card like the Boss, Queen Unicorn or Medusa. But since Payload is quite fast-paced, you won't have much time concentrating on sniping cards with your camp cards. If Frag's regular 1v1 mode already favored offense, this mode, Payload, gives a whole new definition to base rush, or technically payload rush. The team that can constantly keep the most pressure on the opponent wins the match. Overall, I really love this game mode, without a doubt way more than Street Frag, even when it first came out. That being said, Payload doesn't feel like the final version of what it is or what it can be. I think this is just Payload 1.0, and in the future it'll be tweaked and improved a lot, and can possibly introduce new elements into the game. For example, boosts similar to mystery boxes from random airdrops or specific locations in the battlefield. I also hope the devs change the route the payloads take every month to spice things up. This has been sneak peek number 2 of Frag Volume 2. Make sure to check out the other 3 sneak peeks if you want to catch all the new content, including the new legendary character Archon, the brand new Frag powers and every one of the 85 characters Frag power, and every other new feature in this update like the exclusive Cosmos skins. Consider dropping a like, comment and subscribing. Take care and see you in the next sneak peek video.